Israel is always the aggressor. Israel is determined to complete its settler colonial conquest of Palestine, regardless of the price that the region and the people in the region have to pay. The details of the response remains to be seen. Obviously, I don't have any intelligence as to what their actual response will be. But we continue to head towards a regional war. This has never been, this potential outcome of a regional war has never been off the table. I know we all fixate on the desire of all parties to avoid a regional war, and that's understandable. But whenever you have an ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip, the potential outcome of a regional war remained open throughout. And it still remains open today. And to me, it is very, very clear that we can no longer say that the Israelis do not want it. They do want it. The assassination of the Hamas leader in Tehran, Ismail Haniyeh, as well as the attempted assassination of a Hezbollah leader in southern Beirut and the strike in southern Beirut that killed at least, I believe, 3 innocent civilians and injured dozens more, is a flagrant attempt by the Israelis to drive the region into a wider war. I don't believe that we can predict today what the balance of power will be after such a regional war. First of all, I'm not saying that it will for sure happen right now, but we are heading towards one. And who knows what? Nobody can tell you exactly how such a war would transpire or what would be the outcome of it at the end. But it's going to be a very devastating one if we go down that path. Strengthen them. I don't think this is going to affect them. Iran has vowed to respond to this. I believe that they will. I don't know what the nature of the response will be or any details on that. I'll be watching them as you are, as many others will be watching for them. But I do believe there will be a response, and that kind of whatever the response will be will reaffirm the solid relations between Iran and not just Hamas but various political factions in Palestine. So if the Israelis have this fantasy that such assassinations in Tehran or attacks in Lebanon or the genocide of the Palestinian people in Gaza is going to be the last episode of their attempt to defeat Palestinian resistance once and for all, they're deluding themselves. This will strengthen the resolve of people to fight. And I don't, these things happen in very sort of prolonged periods of time as well. Even if there are short-term setbacks for the resistance groups, and even if there's short-term desire of the Palestinian people to stop all the resistance for a short period of time to kind of recollect themselves. The will to resist for the right of the Palestinian people to live on their lands, all their lands, that will never be defeated. And there will be continued efforts by the Palestinian people and their many allies around the region to continue to fight for that right. So I can more or less guarantee that the Israeli attempt to defeat the Palestinian resistance through these heinous acts of violence will not succeed in the long run. Well, first of all, let's be very clear: the United States has been drawn in already. Without the United States actively participating in the Israeli genocide of the Palestinian people, and as well these attacks in Lebanon, and I would say Iran as well, nothing would look the way it does today. So the US is already involved. This notion that the US is just some outside actor trying to create peace and stability in the region is absolute nonsense. The US empire is actively engaged in the colonization of Palestine and in imperial rule over the majority of the Arab world that we have witnessed over the last many decades. So the US is already involved. Now, whether when people are asking this, they're more interested in asking the question, are we going to see US troops in direct military confrontation with, let's say, Iranian military or Hezbollah or so on? That remains to be seen. Israelis do want that. The Israelis know that they cannot break the back of the Iranian regime without U.S. active military involvement. They do hope to create conditions in such a way where the Americans are forced to do that. I don't believe the Americans want to do that, but there's a chance that they do. I can't give you a percentage. Nobody can predict the future in these things. But we are closer to that kind of war this morning than we were yesterday as a result of these kinds of assassinations. So we'll see where it goes. I can't predict the future, like I said, but anything can happen at this point. Whether Russia, by the way, gets involved, I highly doubt it. The way Russia might get involved is to sell weapons to Iran, support them with intelligence, that kind of thing. But I highly doubt that we'll see Russian troops engaged in the region at all. When you assassinate the person you're negotiating with, you're clearly not serious about negotiations for a ceasefire. The Israelis never wanted a ceasefire. This is obvious to any honest observer that the Israelis were the ones who said no to all ceasefire proposals. The whole world wants a ceasefire. The Americans keep vetoing it. Why? Because the Israeli state does not want it. So it's not complicated. The Israeli state is the aggressor. They are the settler colonial state. They are trying to change the demographics of Palestine. They are trying to expel and kill as many Palestinians as possible and replace them with Israeli Jews and create exclusive Israeli Jewish sovereignty over the entirety of the land from the river to the sea. They already practice that kind of sovereignty over the entirety of the land, but they're trying to make it now legally official and internationally recognized as all Israel. So this is their plan. This is why they don't want a ceasefire. They want to continue the genocide in Gaza Strip. They want to build towards committing that kind of genocide in the West Bank as well. Maybe not in the immediate or short-term future, but in the long term. And they believe that they are working towards that goal and towards achieving that goal. So there are no real prospects at this moment, I would say, for a real true ceasefire. What the Israelis might agree to at some point is a kind of temporary pause. They won't call it that, or they might not call it that, or they might, I don't know, but even if this genocidal operation takes a brief stop here and there, the Israelis are determined to expel and kill as many Palestinians as possible from the Gaza Strip and colonize it, and colonize as much of it as they can. That is their plan. They have not removed themselves from that plan, and they are still walking on it. And the Americans know this, and the Americans are allowing them to do this. So we're not moving towards anything that is peaceful, anything that is just, anything that comes anywhere near realizing or recognizing the aspirations of the Palestinian people for their right to live on their lands as sovereign beings. So we're far, far away, unfortunately, from talking about anything resembling peace and justice for the Palestinian people, and the Israeli state is the reason why.